So Yom Kippur has ended, and with it, our intense, deep, intimate day of searching ourselves and being close with God. Now, ideally, we end this day of atonement feeling loved, feeling secure, feeling at peace. When we return home from the synagogue, everything feels right with the world. But in Israel and in Jewish communities around the world that very night, you will hear some strange sounds. Those are the sounds of construction. Because just as we return home feeling secure and peaceful, we encounter another commandment. We are instructed to go out and live somewhere else, somewhere insecure. The holiday of Sukkot begins just days after Yom Kippur, and the Jews are out building temporary homes to live in for 7 days. Sukkot is the biblical harvest festival first mentioned in the book of Exodus. It is one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals where every adult male is commanded to go up to Jerusalem and appear before the Lord. Now, the Bible in chapter 23 of the book of Leviticus instructs us to do 3 unique things on this festival. The first is to take 4 specific tree products and bring them together. Now, rabbinic interpretation will help the Jews to understand exactly what these 4 tree products are. And today we gather together these 4 species and wave them during the festival of Sukkot. But I'd like to focus on the second and third unique commandments of this holiday. The second unique commandment is to dwell in Sukkot. And the third is a unique commandment because it is given twice. We're commanded in a special way to be particularly joyful during this festival. Now, at first glance, these 2 commandments seem a little bit in opposition. I mean, as anyone who's lived for even a few days in a sukkah, it's not much. It's fragile, it's easily collapsible, it's open to the elements, it's open to insects, to stray cats, to the neighbors. It doesn't have a proper roof. It offers no real shelter or security. I've seen plenty of Sukkot fall down and blow away in the wind. It's significant that Sukkot falls right at about the time there's a first chance of real rain in Israel. Suddenly, the weather's a little uncertain for the first time in 5 or 6 months. We're commanded to go live outside. Ooh, let's rejoice. It seems appropriate that we read from the scroll of Ecclesiastes on Sukkot. Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, is perhaps the least likely book of the Bible to make you want to break out in rejoicing, right? It's all about the temporary, the transient, frankly, the flimsy nature of our human existence. So with all this fragility, all this vulnerability, where does our rejoicing come from? And not that we're commanded just rejoicing, but the Bible tells us that in fact, on this holiday, we will be wholly joyful. We read that in Deuteronomy chapter 16. Wholly joyful, really. I think there's a hint we might find in the question that we often forget to ask, which is, what are Sukkot? What are these booths? I mean, Leviticus 23 basically tells us that we are commanded to live in Sukkot, that we remember that God made the children of Israel live in Sukkot when he brought us out of Egypt. That's not a huge help, because at no other point do we hear anything about the children of Israel dwelling in Sukkot. I mean, tents, plenty. We still don't really know what these desert Sukkot were. Now, the rabbis love questions like this, and in fact, there's a wonderful argument between 2 rabbis in the Mishnah about precisely this question. One, Rabbi Akiva, is very down to earth. He says, those desert Sukkot, they were just flimsy huts, like it doesn't mean much. The other, Rabbi Eliezer, goes way off in the other direction and says that the Sukkot in which the children of Israel dwelled in the desert were in fact the clouds of glory which enveloped them and protected them. We find ourselves with 2 opinions and no conclusions, but perhaps they are both true at the same time. Our Sukkot symbolize both the flimsiness and temporariness of our own lives, and at the same time also the loving protection with which God holds us. It is a recognition of this balance that allows us to truly rejoice despite our fragility, our vulnerability, the temporariness of it all. We know that while we are just huts, we are at the same time far more than just huts. And it is in knowing this that we can truly rejoice.